Hello students, welcome to my channel. In this session, we'll be discussing speed, time and distance. Speed, time and distance is an important topic for entrance exams like CAT, XAT, IFT, SNAP, NMAT, GRE, GMAT, and also for competitive exams like Bank Probationary Officer, Staff Selection Commission, um, all other police exams. You name any exam where quantitative aptitude is a test area, speed, time and distance questions are asked invariably. If you look at CAT 2020, there were 4 questions out of 26. 4 out of 26 is almost 15 percentage of the quant section. It's a huge number. Next, if you look at bank probationary officers, is one of the trends in DI is the quant based DI. That is, they'll use the quant concept and frame a set of 5 questions of DI, and we have time and distance concepts, especially that boards and streams concepts are used, and there were 5 questions of DI in the recent probationary officer examination. Similarly, in staff selection commission, usually you will get 2 to 4 questions, even that is a good number. And in GRE, in statement questions, and in GMAT, both problem solving and data sufficiency questions, speed, time and distance questions are asked usually, right? So whichever exam that you are preparing, speed, time and distance is an important topic. Now, let's look at the overview of the topic. They will divide this topic into some 10 different areas, and we'll try to discuss each area in detail. The first one is the basic definitions and ratios. The second part will be average speed. Third one is relative speed. Fourth one is meeting points, when two people are traveling, where and when do they meet, kind of questions. Next, trains related questions. Linear races, when people run a race, who will beat whom by how much margin and all that, those linear races questions. Then circular races questions, clocks questions, boats and streams and escalators, and finally time zones, because if when one flight is going from one country to another country which are in different time zones, how do you arrive at the speed or time or distance depending on the data given there. So here the time zone concept is important. So we'll have the entire speed, time and distance divided into these 10 areas, and in the following sessions we'll take up each and every one in detail, right? Right, we'll start with the basic definitions and ratios. What is the basic definition of our basic formula for distance? Distance equals to, you all know, speed into time. Speed equals to distance by time, or time equals to distance by speed. For all these formulae, whenever you pause the video, take the screenshots, not only for this one, even in the following parts. Whenever you get a concept, you can pause the video, take the screenshot and continue that, right? So these are the basic things. Distance is equal to speed into time. Speed is equal to distance by time. Speed is equal to time comes here, distance by time, or time equals to speed goes this side, distance by speed. These are the 3 basic formulae. And one more thing is, for distance usually we use kilometers or meters, or in some exams like GRE, GMAT, more often they use the units miles. For speed, we'll use kilometers per hour, meters per second, or miles per hour. These are the more often used units. For time, usually we get hours or we get seconds. Now, how do we convert this kilometers per hour into meters per second or vice versa? We'll discuss. Kilometers per hour to meters per second, we multiply with 5 by 18. 1 kilometer per hour equals to 5 by 18 meters per second. So you have to multiply with 5 by 18. Meters per second to kilometer per hour, you have to multiply with 18 by 5, because 1 meter per second equals to 18 by 5 kilometers per hour. Suppose if I have, say, 36 kilometers per hour, how many meters per second means 36 into 5 by 18, 18 twos, 2 5s, 10 meters per second. Here, suppose if I have 15 meters per second, how many kilometers per hour means 15 into 18 by 5, 5 threes, 18 threes, 54 kilometers per hour. Similarly, how do we convert miles per hour to kilometers per hour? Please remember, 1 mile equals to approximately 1.6 kilometers. Because 1 mile is equal to approximately 1.6 kilometers, miles per hour to kilometer per hour time is same, only the distance is different, right? So we multiply with 1.6 or 1.61 to be a little more precise. 1.6 also you can use rounded off to one digit after the decimal. Next, so if I have to convert kilometers per hour into meters per second, it will be 0.62 miles per hour, because 1 mile is equal to 1.61 kilometers, or 1 kilometer equals to approximately 0.62 miles. That is the reason. This is about conversion factors. Now, what is the relation between this distance and speed, speed and time, or distance and time? Suppose if the distance is constant, what happens? If someone who travels at more speed, he will take less time. If someone is traveling slowly, he will take more time if the distance is same. When the distance is constant, as I said, if you have more speed, you will take less time. If your speed is less, you will take more time. So they are inverse relation. The ratio of the time is equal to inverse ratio of the speeds. Say speed is inversely proportional to time, or we can say S1 into T1 equals to S2 into T2, or S1 is to S2, S1 is to S2 equals to T2 is to T1. This is the relation between, see, S1 is to S2 means S1 by S2 equals to T2 by T1, not T1 by 2. It is inverse, because speed and time are inverse relation. And you know how this has come? When two variables are in inverse proportion, the product is constant. Otherwise also, you know, distance is equal to speed into time. So when I say distance is same, so speed, first time speed into time, second time speed into time will be same, because the distance is same, right? Okay, this is about speed and time. Next one is, when time is constant, the ratio of distances is equals to ratio of the speeds. If two people are traveling for same time, then whoever has got more speed will cover more distance. That's why I said ratio of distances equals to ratio of speeds. Distance is directly proportional to speed, or we can say D1 is to D2 equals to S1 is to S2, because it's a direct variation, right? You have more speed, you will travel more distance. If you have got less speed, you will cover less distance in the same time when the time is constant. Third one is, when speed is constant, the ratio of distance equals ratio of time. If two people are traveling at the same speed, then whoever travels for more time will cover more distance, right? So distance is directly proportional to time. D1 is to D2 is equal to T1 is to T2. Only the first one is inverse relation, that you have to keep it in mind. So these are the basic ratios or basic formulae with respect to speed, time and distance. Now we'll try to apply these basic ratios or basic formulae and solve a couple of questions, right? Let's start with the first example. Amit can cover 600 kilometers in 12 hours. If his speed is decreased by 5 kilometers per hour, how much time does Amit take to cover 360 kilometers? Right. So can you please pause the video, make an attempt and then continue watching this. See, the distance is 600, time is 12 hours. So what is the speed? Speed is distance by time. 600 by 12, it is 50 kilometers per hour. Now the question is, if the speed is decreased by 5 kilometers per hour, means 50 minus 5, it is decreased 45 kilometers per hour. How much time does Amit take to cover a distance of how much? 360 kilometers. You know the distance, you know the speed. Time is distance by speed. So 360 by 45, you can say 45 eighths, it is 8 hours. So our answer is 8 hours. Right? Let's take up one more question. Sunil walks from his house to office. If he walks at a speed of 4 kilometers per hour, he is late by 20 minutes. He would have reached 10 minutes early had he walked at a speed of 6 kilometers per hour. Find the distance between his house and office. Now, see, first day is late by 20 minutes. What do you mean by late by 20 minutes? If there is a stipulated time, you are reaching 20 minutes after that. Second case is 10 minutes early. That means he is reaching 10 minutes before, or 10 minutes less time he is taking. So first case 20 minutes late, second case 10 minutes early, means the difference between these two is 30 minutes or not? Let me give an example. Suppose he is supposed to reach the office by say 9 a.m. First day is late by 20 minutes means he has reached the office by 9:20. Second case, he reached office 10 minutes early means he reached 8:50. 8:50, 9:20, the difference is 30 minutes or not? Yes. I'm just giving an example, right? So basically the difference between the two events is 30 minutes. But he is reaching his office. That both cases is traveling from house to office. House to office means both cases the distance is same. Distance both cases is same. But first time the speed is 4 kilometers per hour. Second time the speed is 6 kilometers per hour. The time here is distance by speed d by 4. The time here is d by 6. But you know 8:50, 9:20, the difference is 30 minutes. As I can say the difference between them is 30 minutes means the difference between the two times d by 4 minus d by 6 is 30 minutes. But here since speed is in kilometers per hour, your time should be in time should be in hours. So this is in minutes, 30 minutes. If I have to convert into hours, it is 30 by 60, 1 by 2. D by 4 minus d by 6 is 1 by 2 means if you take LCM 12, 4 3 is 3d, 6 2 is 2d equals to 1 by 2. I can say d by 12 is 1 by 2 or d equals to 6. So the distance traveled is 6 kilometers. Right? Okay. Can we go to the next one? We'll take up now the average speed concepts after this. Right? Average speed. What is average speed? Average speed is nothing but for suppose in certain time if you have traveled certain distance, what is the average speed means? How do I arrive at average speed? The total distance traveled by total time taken. We will discuss this concept with the help of 4 different examples considering 4 different cases, right? So the first case, beam traveled for the first 5 hours at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour and the next 4 hours at a speed of 49 kilometers per hour. Find the average speed. Now, as I said, we will consider this with the formula. The formula is average speed is equal to total distance traveled by total time taken. Now, what is the total distance traveled? Let us see. First 5 hours, it is 40 kilometers per hour means the distance will be speed into time. 5 into 40, 200 kilometers. The next 4 hours, it is 49 kilometers per hour means it is 5 into 49, 4 into 49, it will be 196 kilometers. So the total distance is 396 kilometers. The total time is 9 hours. So the average speed, as I said, is total distance traveled by total time taken. So you traveled 396 kilometers in how many hours time? 9 hours time means the average speed equals to, as I said, 396 by 9, 9 4s 36, 9 4s, it is 44 kilometers per hour. This is first example where neither time is same nor distance is same, anything is same. So we simply say total distance traveled by total time. Now let us consider a question where if the time traveled is same, what happens? When the time is same, what happens? Say beam traveled for the first 5 hours at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour and the next 5 hours at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. Find the average speed. See, when the time is same, we can say the average speed will be simply average of the two speeds. I will do it detailedly. First, let me explain using this shortcut. When a person travels for 2 equal periods of time at different speeds S1 and S2, average speed is S1 plus S2 by 2, 40 plus 60 by 2, that is nothing but 50 kilometers per hour. This I am saying using the direct shortcut. If you apply the previous concept, the basic concept of average speed, where we said total distance, average speed is nothing but total distance traveled by total time taken. If I apply this, see, for first 5 hours, the speed is 40 kilometers per hour means the distance is 5 into 40, speed into time, 540 is 200 kilometers. Next 5 hours, speed is 60 kilometers per hour means distance is, the time is 5 hours, speed is 60 kilometers per hour, the distance is 560 is 300 kilometers. So now the total distance is 500 kilometers. The total time taken is 10 hours. So what is the average speed means? Average speed is nothing but total distance traveled, that is 500 by total time taken 10. Is it not 50 kilometers per hour? That's what I said directly. So when a person travels two equal periods of time at different speeds, the average speed is s1 plus s2 by 2. Right? This is when the time is same. What happens if the distance is same? We'll discuss. Beam traveled from A to B at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour and then returned from B to A at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. Find the average speed. See, he traveled from A to B and then returned from B to A, means both cases he traveled the same distance, but speeds are different. 40 kilometers per hour while going, while coming back it is 60 kilometers per hour. And the shortcut is, when a person travels two equal distances at different speeds of s1 and s2, the average speed s equals to 2s1 s2 by s1 plus s2. Suppose here 2 into 40 into 60 by 40 plus 60. See, 2 into 40 into 60 by 100, 2 zeros gets cancelled. So it will be 48 kilometers per hour. 6 4s 24, 24 2s 48 kilometers per hour. This is the shortcut. Suppose if you don't remember the formula, you can still use the basic concept and solve it. See, he has gone and he has come back. Both cases the distance is same, right? So let us assume distance is some 120 kilometers. Why I am assuming 120, not 100? Because when I have 40 and 60, whenever you have freedom to assume a number of your number that is easy for calculation, so that you can always solve the question in quick time. If the distance is 120 kilometers while going, so while coming back also the distance is 120 kilometers. The speed is 40 kilometers per hour, means the time is 120 by 40, distance by speed, so 3 hours. Here the speed is 60 kilometers per hour. The time is distance by speed 120 by 60, 2 hours. So now what is the average speed means? Total distance traveled. The total distance traveled is how much? 120 plus 120, 240. By total time taken, 3 hours plus 2 hours, 5 hours. 240 by 5 means 5 4s, 5 8s, 48 kilometers per hour. So like that, we can also assume some number for a distance and solve the question, right? Whichever way you are comfortable, you can attempt it. Now, but when the distance is not same, but some certain ratio is given between distances, how we can answer? You can see here, beam traveled, this is the fourth one. Beam traveled 1/3 of the distance at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour and the remaining distance at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. Find the average speed. See, he traveled, if the say 1/3 of the distance at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour, and the remaining distance, if 1/3 gone, remaining will be what? 2/3 of the distance at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. If you see, the ratio of the distances is 1/3 is to 2/3, or 1/3 d is to 2/3 d, means d gets cancelled, 3 gets cancelled, it is 1:2. The ratio of the distance is 1:2. For this, the shortcut formula is, if a person covers two different distances which are in the ratio m:n and speeds are s1 and s2, the average speed is m plus n into s1 into s2 by ms2 plus ns1. Let me explain this. Here the ratio of the distance is 1:2 and speeds are 40 and 60. So now it is like mn, this is s1 and s2. So now what the formula says, m plus n, that is 1 plus 2, 3 into s1 into s2, 40 into 60 by cross multiplication, ms2, that is 1 into 60, 60 plus ns1, this one, that is 2 into 40, 80. It is 3 into 40 into 60 by 140, 22s, 27s, 360 by 7, it is 51 point something, say 51, 3, 7, 5, 30, 51.4 you can say approximately, 51.4 kilometers per hour. 3, because this is difficult to see how many formulae we can remember. Wherever possible during this session, I will give you shortcut formulae, but you should also know the basic concept or basic logic, because sometimes the basic logic also gives you quick answers. And the second thing is, you can't remember every question, one concept or one formula there, right? Okay, look at this. Now I have 40 and 60. It is 40 and 60 means it is basically, let us say, the LCM of 40 and 60, as I said, is 120. Since you said 1/3 and 2/3, probably I'll take, this is 120, this is 240, I'll take. See, 120 is divisible by 40, 240 also is divisible by 60. See, why I'm taking 120 and 240? Because the ratio of the 1/3 and 2/3 means the ratio of the distance is 1:2. If the first part 1/3 is 120, second part will be 240. Now you see, the distance is 120, speed is 40 km per hour, means what is the time? 120 by 40, 3 hours. The distance is 240, speed is 60 km per hour, means what is the time? 240 by 60, that is 4 hours. Now what is the average speed means? The total distance will be what? This is 120 I assumed, this is 240 I assumed, 120 plus 240, 360 by the total time 3 plus 4, 7. It is 7 5s 35, 10, 7 1 7, 7 4s approximately, you can say is 51.4 kilometers per hour. That's what I said here also, right? So these are the 4 different types of average speed questions that you get in the examination. So I gave you, for every question there is a formula and there is also a basic method. Fine. So in the next session we will be taking up relative speed concept. What is relative speed? The question of relative speed comes into effect when more than one person is moving. Suppose if 2 people are moving from, say, from this point, if both go in the same direction, what is the net distance covered by them? Both go in the opposite direction, what happens? Suppose, say at 6 o'clock, one person has gone at this 40 kilometers per hour in this direction. After 1 hour, he is 40 kilometers away from this point P. The second person traveled at 50 kilometers per hour and gone in the same direction. So after 1 hour, he is 50 kilometers away from P, means what is the distance between these two guys? One person traveled 50 kilometers, another person traveled 40 kilometers, means the distance between them is 10 kilometers after 1 hour, or the effective speed is 10 kilometers per hour, I can say, because at the end of 1 hour, the net distance they traveled is 10 kilometers. Case 2, suppose from this point, this guy traveled at 50 kilometers per hour this way. The other guy traveled in the opposite direction at 40 kilometers per hour. After 1 hour from this P, this guy is 50 kilometers away from P, whereas the second guy is 40 kilometers away from P, means what is the distance between them after 1 hour? 90 kilometers in 1 hour time. So in other words, speed is 90 kilometers per hour. How this 10 has come? By defining the difference of the 2 speeds. How this 90 has come? By adding the 2 speeds. That's why we say, if 2 persons or objects are moving in the same direction, the relative speed is the difference of the 2 speeds, S1 minus S2. Right? I gave an example. Similarly, if 2 persons or objects are moving in the opposite direction, the relative speed is the sum of 2 speeds, as you see, S1 plus S2. Right? So this is something, the basic concept of relative speed. When the question of relative speed comes into effect, if there is more than one moving object, if 2 objects are moving, the effective speed or relative speed is S1 minus S2 if it is same direction. It is S1 plus S2 if it is opposite direction, right? So now with this, we'll try and answer a few questions. We'll answer 4 questions. What if they start at the same time? What if they don't start at the same time? So one example each for same direction and opposite direction, right? Let's start. A and B run towards each other with speeds of 15 meters per second and 10 meters per second. When will they meet if the initial distance between them is 300 meters? Now, the distance between A and B initially was 300 meters. They're running towards each other at 15 meters per second and 10 meters per second. So the distance between them is 300 kilometers. The speed is, they're running in opposite direction. Speed will be S1 plus S2, 15 plus 10, 25 meters per second is the effective speed. So the time is distance by speed, 300 by 15, 300 by 25, it is 12 seconds there. After 12 seconds, they will be meeting. If you're not using relative speed also, you can solve it, but you have to improve your approach, because you have to try to save time in the examination. Suppose without using relative speed also I can do it. I'll just explain one example without using relative speed. Every question of relative speed can be done this way, but we should avoid doing it because it takes more time at times. See, now he traveled at 15 meters per second. He traveled at 10 meters per second. The question is, when do they meet? When will they meet means, let us say they met here after t seconds. So speed is 15 meters per second. In time is t seconds means what is the distance traveled by A? A must be coming from here to here. Speed into time is the distance traveled. 15 into t. 15t is the distance traveled by A. B traveled from here to here. B is traveling at 10 meters per second. Time is t means speed into time will give you distance, that is 10 into t. 10t is the distance from here to here. This is covered by A, this is covered by B means when you add them, don't you get the entire AB, which is 300, initial distance between A and B. So 15t plus 10t, 25t is 300, t equals to 300 by 25. Are we not doing the same thing here? Yes. So that's why apply relative speed concepts. You can always solve questions in quick time. So 300 by 25, 12 seconds as we already discussed. Done? This is for opposite direction. Now let's take one question for same direction. If A and B run in the same direction with speeds of 15 meters per second and 10 meters per second respectively, when will they meet if A is 300 meters behind B initially? See, A and B are running in the same direction, but A is 300 meters behind B initially. B is going like this, A is also going like this. A is 300 meters behind B means the speeds are 15 meters per second and 10 meters per second. So the initial distance between them is 300 meters. The speed is S1 minus S2 because they are going in the same direction. So it is 15 minus 10, 5 meters per second. The time will be distance by speed, 300 by 5, that is 60 seconds. It's as simple as this, right? Or again you can say, like I said in the previous question, you can also say, is going like this, is going like this. Suppose they met somewhere here after t seconds. What the distance traveled by A means speed into time, 15 into t, 15t. What the distance traveled by B means 10 into t, 10t. This is 15t, this is 10t, the difference is this 300. You can still get the same answer. Suppose after t seconds they met, if I am not using the relative speed, the distance covered by A is 15 into t, 15t. So let us say they met here. The distance traveled by B is 10 into t, 10t. But A covered more distance than B. How much more he has covered? This 300. The difference is 300. 15t minus 10t, 5t is 300. T is 300 by 5. Are you not getting the same thing here? That's what I am saying. If you can use relative speed questions, you can always solve the problem in quick time. But however, sticking to your basic definitions of distance, speed and time also, we can answer the questions there, right? Okay, now let's see two questions more. When they don't start at the same time. Here they are starting at the same time in this question and the previous one. Let's see now. Ajay starts from P at 6 a.m. travels towards Q at 50 km per hour. There is P and Q. Ajay travels from P to Q. At what time he starts from P? At 6 a.m. And what is the speed of Ajay? 50 km per hour. Vijay starts at what time from Q? Vijay starts from Q at 8 a.m. Ajay starts at 6 a.m., Vijay starts at 8 a.m. and he goes towards P at what speed? 60 kilometers per hour speed. If the distance between P and Q is 320 kilometers, when do they meet? Simple. So now from 6 o'clock, is the relative speed is in effect? No, because relative speed question comes when there are two moving objects or two moving people. Ajay starts at 6 o'clock, but Vijay starts at 8 o'clock, means 6 to 8 Ajay is only traveling, Vijay is not traveling. So let us say by 8 o'clock, by the time Vijay starts, how far Ajay has already come towards Q? See, 6 to 8, let us say Ajay has come up to here by 8 o'clock. So that means 6 to 8, how many hours Ajay traveled? 2 hours he traveled. At what speed? 50 kilometers per hour. So speed is 50 kilometers per hour and time is 2 hours, means 50 into 2, he traveled 100 kilometers towards this. Let us say he has come up to here, a place, let us say R. Now 8 o'clock Ajay is here, Vijay is here. Now what is the distance between Ajay and Vijay at 8 o'clock? The initial distance is 320. Ajay already covered 100 kilometers and came close towards Vijay, means now at 8 a.m. the distance between Ajay and Vijay is 320 minus this 100, 220. And students, now at 8 o'clock, both Ajay is traveling and as well as Vijay is traveling now from 8 o'clock. So since two people are traveling, we should consider the relative speed. Again, S1 plus S2, that is 50 plus 60, 110 kilometers. So the time is distance by speed, 220 by 110, it is 2 hours. 2 hours from 8 o'clock means, when do they meet? Means they meet at 10 a.m. Right? Okay. You can also solve like earlier two questions without using relative speed, but you take more time. Right, students? Let's go to the next one. Ajay starts from P at 6 a.m. and travels towards Q at 50 kilometers per hour. Ajay starts from P and goes towards Q at what speed? At a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. At what time he traveled? At what time he started? 6 o'clock. 6 a.m. And Vijay also starts from P. That's important. Both are traveling from the same point. But Vijay started at 8 a.m. And at what speed Vijay is traveling? He is also traveling towards Q. At what speed? 60 kilometers per hour. But now Vijay starts at 8 o'clock. Ajay started already at 6 o'clock, means by the time Vijay started here, Ajay is already, Ajay has traveled for how much time? 6 to 8, 2 hours he traveled. In these 2 hours, Ajay might have come up to somewhere here. So 6 to 8, 2 hours means speed is 50 kilometers per hour, time is 2 hours, means he has traveled 100 kilometers up to here. Let us say this place R. Now at 8 o'clock, the distance between Ajay and Vijay, Ajay is here, Vijay is just about to start at 8 o'clock. The distance between them is how much? 100 kilometers. Now Vijay also started going, Ajay is also continuously traveling. So they are both traveling in the same direction. So because they are traveling in the same direction, the speed will be S1 minus S2. That is 60 minus 50, that is 10 kilometers per hour. S1 minus S2, when the direction is same, we discussed. The time is equal to distance by speed. 100 by 10, you will require 10 hours. 10 hours from 8 o'clock will be what? 10 hours from 8 o'clock will be 18 hours, that is 6 p.m. So finally when they meet means they meet at 6 p.m. Right? This is how we get questions on relative speed. When two people traveling from opposite ends and going, they start from the same ends and going. And then one more important point is whether they start at the same time or they start at different times. How do we answer these questions, right? So this is about, students, relative speed. Continuation of this relative speed is what the same concept will be applying them in meeting points. We'll take up meeting point concept. As I said in the previous session, If two people are traveling from the same end or opposite ends, where and when do they meet? Kind of questions there. Right, let's see. Starting from opposite ends. If two people are starting from opposite ends, see, let's say one person A and B. So if this is the distance between them, by the time they meet, if they're starting from opposite ends, what happens? So A travels this portion, B travels this portion, means by the time they meet for the first time, they together traveled, the distance covered by A and B together is how much? This plus this equals to the total distance D or not? Yes. That's why if two people travel from opposite ends, by the time they meet for the first time, the distance traveled is D. But if they continue to travel non-stop, what happens? If they continue, then what happens is the A will come here, B will come here, they reach the destinations. Again they will reverse, return and come here, he will come here and meet. So from first meeting to next meeting, again what happened? When they reach the destinations, this is D. When they returned and came up to here, it is another D, means 2D extra they will be traveling. So what we can sum up this point I said is, if two people or objects start from opposite ends which are D units apart, the distance traveled by the first meeting is D. The distance traveled by them by the first meeting is how much? D. And thereafter for every meeting the distance traveled is additional 2D. As I said, they met here, then they reached the destinations, that is 1D. Then return and come back here, that is another D, 2D. For every extra meeting, additional 2D will be covered. In other words, for first meeting the distance traveled is D. For the second meeting additional 2D means it will be 3D. For the third meeting additional 2D means it is 5D and so on. Right? But one caution here, this will apply, this shortcut can apply only if the distance, the ratio of the speeds of the two guys is not greater than 2:1. Up to the distances are in the ratio 2:1, it is okay. The above condition holds good only when the ratio of the speeds is not greater than 2:1, right? If it is greater than 2:1, case by case you have to consider specifically applying the basic concepts. This is from opposite ends. Now let's take from same end. What happens? Suppose if two people start from point P, goes to Q and then return. Let us say there are two guys A and B are traveling. Suppose A is the faster guy, A and B both started here. Because A is faster guy, he will reach Q first. And that means he traveled then, if the distance is D, he traveled the entire D. Then he returned and came up to here. By then B has come up to here. So what is the total distance traveled means? This is entire D. This A traveled this D plus this portion. B traveled this portion means total distance traveled by A and B together will be D plus another D, total 2D. So here for first meeting itself they take 2D. So they met here. Let us say A is going like, B is going like this, A is returning, they met here. Second time what happens? Again B will reach Q, A will reach this P. Again they return and meet somewhere here. So from first meeting to next meeting again what happened? When they reached the destinations they traveled D. When they returned and met again another D means it will be this one. You can see it is 2D. There are two lines here. There it is 2D. So for first meeting you take 2D. For every additional meeting 2D. So opposite ends means first meeting D. Thereafterwards every time 2D. But if it is same ends, first meeting is 2D, thereafter also every meeting 2D. So that is important. If two people or objects start from the same end and travel between 2 points which are D units apart, the distance traveled by the first meeting is 2D, and thereafter for every meeting the distance traveled is additional 2D. Right? This is important. First meeting is 2D, every additional meeting 2D means second meeting will be 4D, third meeting will be 6D and so on. However, here the condition is that the ratio of the speed should not be greater than 3:1. Opposite ends I said it should not be greater than 2:1, but here if they are starting from the same end, the ratio of the shortcut can apply. The shortcuts can hold good only when the ratio of the speeds is not greater than 3:1. Up to 3:1 it is okay, right? This is the second shortcut on meeting points. The third shortcut on the meet, I hope for every screen you are taking the screenshot or you are pausing the video and noting down the key points and then moving, students. The third concept or shortcut is, if two people start from opposite ends at the same time and take t hours to meet and thereafter take t1 and t2 hours to reach the destinations. Let me explain. Say there are two people here, they are starting from say opposite ends P and Q, say A and B. So they came up to here and they met here. So they met after how many hours? Let us say t hours. They have taken t hours to meet. Both started at the same time. Both start at the same time and take t hours to come here. Both travel t hours to come here. Thereafterwards, A will take another, see from this point, let us say R, take another t1 hours to reach the destination. Suppose B has taken t hours and came up to here. From R to P, let us say B takes another t2 hours to reach the destination. That's what I'm saying. T1 and T2 are the time taken to reach the destination from the meeting point to the destinations. Then the relation between this T and T1 and T2 is T equals to square root of T1 and T2. Right? Now, this extension of this point is, suppose if the speeds of A is S1, speed of B is S2, what is the relation between this S1 and S2 in terms of this T1 and T2? We know the speed and time are inverse relation, but here I'm talking about only T1 and T2, which are not the total time. No, these are the time taken only from meeting point to this. What the relation means? We can say, if two people start from opposite ends at the same time with speeds S1 and S2 respectively and take t hours to meet and thereafter t1 and t2 hours to reach the destinations, is the same as the previous case. T hours to meet and take t1 and t2 hours to reach the destinations. The extra point I am talking about is the speeds, means see the relation between speeds and the respective times will be S1 by S2 equals to square root of T2 by T1. I know speed and time will be reverse, but why I am not writing simply T2 by T1 square root? Because this is not the time taken for the entire journey. This is the time taken from the meeting point to this, from the meeting point to this, not for the entire journey. Please remember. That is the reason this is the shortcut. So these four shortcuts will help you in answering some really complex questions in meeting points in the part of speed, time and distance. Let's see a couple of questions. Will A and B start walking from a point P towards Q at different speeds which are in the ratio 7:5. A after reaching Q walks back towards P and meets B. If the distance between P and Q is 600 meters, how far from Q do they meet? Now, if you look at this here, let's say the distance between these are the P and Q are here. The distance as per the question is 600 meters. Now A and B both start here. A goes to Q and then returns and comes, let us say, up to here. By then B comes here and they meet. But you know, by the time they meet for the first time, the total distance traveled is not D. The total distance traveled is 2D, because they are starting from the same end. You can see A traveled the entire PQ and then returned and traveled something more than that, and B traveled only this much. So this is D, this plus this is another D, total 2D. So the total distance traveled by them equals to 2D, that is 2 into 600, 1200. But since the speeds of A and B are in the ratio 7:5, when the speeds are in the ratio 7:5, distances traveled also will be 7:5, because if you recall the basic session discussion, when the time is constant, ratio of distance is ratio of the speeds, 7:5. So that means the distance traveled by A and B are in the ratio 7:5, means you can see 7 and 5 total 12 parts. Total distance is 1200, means I can say A traveled 700 out of this 1200, B traveled 500. I hope you don't have to write what the distance traveled by A means. 7:5 means 7 by 12 into 1200. That is time consuming approach. B traveled how much means 5 by 12 into 1200. You don't have to do it like that. You can calculate. See, 7 plus 5, 12 parts. 12 parts is 1200 means 1 part is 100. 7 parts is 700. 5 parts is 500. B traveled 500 means, see, B traveled 500 means how far from Q is meeting. See, PQ is 600 means how far this portion, suppose they met at R. This is 500 means what is this portion? 100. The question is how far from Q do they met means 100 meters. Our answer is 100. If you want, you can check. A traveled 700. This entire thing is 600 means A traveled 600. When he returned, he traveled another 100. Tallied or not? Yes. So answer is 100 meters. Let's take one more example. A and B start from P and Q and travel towards Q and P respectively. First time they meet at 200 meters from P and second time they meet at 150 meters from Q. Find the distance between P and Q. Right. If you look at this here, P and Q are there. A and B start from P and Q respectively. A is starting from P and going to Q. B is starting from Q and going to P respectively. First time they meet at 200 meters from P. First time they met here. Now they met here. This is meeting point 1. Second time they meet at 150 meters from Q. So what happened? A came up to here. B came up to here. They met. So A will travel. A will reach his destination. B will reach the destination. When then return. So again next time they are meeting at 150 meters from Q. Find the distance between P and Q. Now please remember, because they are traveling from opposite ends, by the time they meet for the first time, the distance they traveled is, first meeting the distance traveled is D. Second meeting the distance traveled will be, every additional meeting 2D means 3D. But if you see, first time they met 200 meters from P means who started from P? A. That means A traveled this 200 meters and B traveled this much. So that means out of the first total D distance, what the distance traveled by A? 200 meters. In a total distance of D, the distance covered by A is 200. Now tell me, by the time they meet second time they are traveling 3D means in a distance of 1D, if A is covering 200 meters, in out of total 3D, how much A will cover means for 1D if it is 200, for 3D it is 600 meters. This is the distance covered by A. Out of this 3D, distance covered by A will be 600. But please remember, what is the distance covered by A? He traveled from P to Q, then returned 150 meters and met the other person. That means the total distance traveled by A by the time they meet second time will be P to Q, that is 1D, and then another 150. So D plus 150 the distance traveled by A. But the distance traveled by A by the time they meet second time is 600. How I arrive it? For one time it is 200 meters. For 1D it is 200 meters. 3D 600. So D plus 150 is 600 or D is 450. What is D? The distance between P and Q is 450 meters. This is how we can answer the question. Shortcut, right? If you take actual basic method, it will take more time. Right. Let's move on to the next one. A and B started from P and Q respectively and traveled towards each other. After crossing each other, A takes 24 minutes to reach Q. See, we'll write it here. They are starting from, A and B are starting from P and Q respectively, and they travel towards each other. Right. After meeting, A takes 24 minutes and B takes how many minutes? 54 minutes to reach P. Find the time taken by them to meet. So this is T1, this is T2. I have to find T means what is the relation we discussed? T is equal to square root of T1 and T2. The time to meet will be T. The time taken to reach the destinations after meeting are 24 and 54 means T is equal to square root of T1 and T2, right? So now if I substitute here square root of 24 and 54, square root of 24 and 54 will be, it is, you can say this is 4 into 6 This is 6 into 9. Square root of 4 is 2. For 2 6s, 1 6 will come. For 9 3 will come. It is 36 minutes. The answer is 36 minutes. So if you know the shortcut, it will be a very simple question there. Otherwise, it will take more time. In fact, in the previous CAT, we have a question on this, right? In fact, I have in my channel, you have a playlist called previous CAT questions. You can watch, you can go, you can search for the speed, time and distance questions. There you will find a couple of questions on this concept, right? So in fact, not only the students who are preparing for CAT, others also can practice these questions, because see, difficulty level depending on the exam may vary, but concepts of every examination remain same. So not only CAT students, even other students also can practice those previous CAT questions there. Now this is about meeting points. Concepts on trains are very simple. See, the only thing you have to do is, when a train crosses an object, what is the distance it travels? Suppose if there is a bridge, if a person crosses the bridge, what the distance traveled by the person means, it is nothing but the bridge length. But if a train is crossing the bridge, what happens? This is the engine, this is the last bogie. When we say the train crossed the bridge, when the last bogie crosses only, we'll say the train crossed the bridge. Suppose if you observe, engine was originally here, now engine here, means what is the total distance engine traveled? This plus this is the bridge length, this is the train length. That's why we say when a train crosses a bridge, we say the distance traveled is length of the train plus length of the bridge. If it crosses a tunnel, length of the train plus length of the tunnel. Or if it crosses a platform, length of the train plus length of the platform. Or if it crosses a man, if a train is crossing a man, the distance it travels is only the length of the train, because length of the man, like bridge, length of the man has no significance. So hence we say only length of the train. So that's why I can sum up this like this. When a train crosses a point, a man or a pole or a tree, it's a man means just a point only. Then it is only length of the distance covered is only the length of the train. However, if it crosses a bridge, bridge length cannot be ignored. That's why we say when a train crosses a bridge or a platform or a tunnel, the distance covered is length of the train plus length of the bridge or platform or tunnel. Right? Then the question is, what if one train crosses another train? See, it's like a bridge only. So see, if it's instead of a bridge, if it is another train, when a train crosses another train, what is the distance means? It is same, the length of first train plus length of the second train. Instead of a bridge, I have another train. Then somebody will have a doubt, what if the other train is also moving? If it is moving in, suppose, same direction, what happens? Opposite direction, what happens means, students, as far as the distance is concerned, when a train crosses another train, the distance is length of both trains. Whether the other train is moving, if moving, in what direction it is moving, they're all required to write the relative speed, what we have discussed in the previous concept, but not to write the distance. Distance is fixed, whether they go in the same direction or opposite direction. First of all, whether the other one train is moving or not moving, right? So please remember, all that is required only to write speed, not to write distance. These are the key points on trains questions. Now let us discuss a couple of examples on trains. A train running at a speed of 54 km per hour crosses a man in 20 seconds. How long does it take to cross a 450-meter long bridge? Right. When a train is crossing a man, the distance it travels is its own length, and the speed at which it is traveling is 54 kilometers per hour. That is 54 into 5 by 18. 18.3 is 15 meters per second. And the time it taken is 20 seconds. You know the speed, you know the time. Distance is equal to speed into time. So 15 into 20, 300 meters is the distance. But distance is nothing but length of the train. So length of the train is 300 meters. Now, if you look at the question now, how long does it take to cross a 450-meter long bridge means, when a train crosses a bridge, the distance it travels is length of the train plus length of the bridge. Length of the train is 300. Length of the bridge is 450. Total is 750 meters. And the speed at which is traveling is 15 meters per second. You are asked to find the time. Time equals to distance by speed. 750 by 15, 50 seconds is the answer. This is the basic method. But however, I can directly say like this. If speed is 54 kilometers per hour, if I convert into meters per second, as I've already explained you, we'll get 15 meters per second. Now, when a train is crossing a bridge, it travels length of the train and length of the bridge. But when a train is crossing a man, it travels only length of the train. So for that, it is taking 20 seconds. To cross a man means to travel the distance of a train, it takes 20 seconds. When it is crossing a bridge, it has to travel train's length plus additionally what? Bridge length. So in the second case, the extra distance it is traveling is this 450 meters. You can see here, it is 300 here, it is 300 plus 450 means it is traveling 450 meters extra distance compared to the first case. For that, how much extra time you require? So distance is 450, speed is 15 meters per second means 450 by 15, 30 seconds extra time I require compared to the first case because I have to travel 450 meters extra distance. So hence my answer will be 20 plus 30. I can say 50 seconds directly. Right? Let's take one more question. Two trains take 30 seconds to cross each other when they travel in opposite direction. If the faster train takes 80 seconds to overtake the slower train, find the ratio of the speed of the faster train to the slower train. So when the two trains cross each other in opposite direction, whether one faster train overtakes the slower train, both cases the distance traveled is same, that is length of both trains. So hence here the distance is same. When the distance is same, what is the relation between speed and time? They are inverse relation. What is the ratio of the time I have? So the ratio of the time I have is 30 is to 80, that is 3 is to 8. This is when opposite direction, this is when it is same direction. If the ratio of the time is 3 is to 8, the ratio of the effective speed when they travel in opposite direction or same direction will be speed and time are inverse relation, that is 3 is to 8 is the time means speed will be inverse, that is 8 is to 3. But you know, when they are going in opposite direction, it is S1 plus S2. When they are going in the same direction, it is S1 minus S2. So this S1 plus S2 is to S1 minus S2 is equals to 8 by 3. S1 plus S2 by S1 minus S2 equals to 8 by 3 means if I cross multiply 3S1 plus 3S2 equals to 8S1 minus 8S2. 3S1 comes this side, 5S1 equals to minus 8S2 comes here, 11S2, or I can say S1 by S2 equals to 11 by 5. S1 is to S2 means S1 is the faster train. So the faster train to slower train, the speeds are in the ratio 11 is to 5. 11 is to 5. Is that clear? So the answer is speed of the fast train to speed of the slower train means our answer should be 11 is to 5. You can say 11 plus 5, 16, 11 minus 5, 6, 16 is to 6 is 8 is to 3 only. Right? If the speeds are 8 is to 3, the time will be 3 is to 8. Confirm? So these are a couple of examples on trains. In the next session, we will take up linear races. Yes, students, linear races is about if two or more people run a race, what is the concept involved there? Please remember the whole concept of linear races can be summed up in one basic concept we have discussed in the first session. That is, when the time is constant, the ratio of distances traveled is nothing but the ratio of the speeds. If you stick to that, you can always solve any question on linear races. However, there are few important terms that you come across in linear races that you should be familiar with. The first phrase you come across is A beats B by 10 meters. This is the kind of example you get. What do you mean by A beats B by 10 meters? Means when there is a race, when A completes the race, B is 10 meters behind. Please remember, it's not that any time in the race that the distance between A and B is 10 meters. That's not what it means. A beats B by 10 meters means by the time A completes the race, B is 10 meters behind. Please remember that. Okay. Similarly, A beats B by 10 seconds means when A completes the race, B is somewhere behind. B takes another 10 seconds to complete the race. So B completed the race 10 seconds after A completed the race. Rather, A completed the race 10 seconds before B completed the race, right? Similarly, next point is giving a head start. A gives B a head start of 10 meters means, see, it's like this. If this is the starting point and this is the finishing point, A will allow B to start 10 meters ahead means it is like this. B will start here, A will start here, there is a gap of 10 meters. So this is the race B runs, this is the race A runs means A has to cover 10 meters more to complete the race. Rather, B is covering 10 meters less because he is given a head start of 10 meters. Right, same thing, you will give head start of 10 seconds. What do you mean by that? Both start here at the same point. So A will allow B to travel 10 seconds first, and then 10 seconds after B started, A will start. That's what you mean by saying that A gives B a head start of 10 seconds. These points, and as I said, ratio of distances traveled is nothing but ratio of the speeds. If you stick to these points, you can solve these linear race questions. We'll take up a couple of examples. Here comes the first one. In a 100-meter race, A beats B by 10 meters, B beats C by 5 meters. By how many meters does A beat C? Now, in a 100-meter race, A beats B by 10 meters means what? As we discussed before, A beats B by 10 meters means when A finishes the race of 100 meters, B is 10 meters behind. That means B is at 90. So what is the ratio of the distance traveled by A and B? 100 is to 90 or 10 by 9. Now what do you mean by B beats C by 5 meters? By the time B completes the race of 100 meters, C is 5 meters behind, that is 95. Please remember, when B beats C by 5 means only when B was finishing the race, C is 5 meters behind B. As I said, it's not the difference between B and C is always 5, as I said in the introduction, right? So that means what is the ratio of B is to C or B by C? 100 is to 95, that is 10, 5 20s, 5 19s, 20 by 19. You know A by B, you know B by C, but I want to know by how many meters does A beat C means when A runs this 100 meters, I want to know where C is. So please remember, you can't say C as 85. As I said, when A at 100, this common mistake we do is A is at 100, B is 90, 10 meters behind. You take C as 5 meters behind 85 and you say A beats C by 15 meters. That's mistake. Please remember, as I said, B beats C by 5 means only when B finishes the race, C is 5 meters behind. C is not 5 meters behind when B was at 90. Please remember that point. So now, you know A by B, you know B by C. We have to find A by C. Multiply A by B into B by C. A by B is 10 by 9. B by C is 20 by 19. You can see B gets cancelled. A by C equals to 200 by 171. When A runs 200, C will run 171. But I have only 100 meters. Cancel this. 200s to 85.5s. When A runs 100, C runs 85.5. When A runs 100, C runs 85.5 means A beats C by how much? 14.5. That 14.5 is our answer. This is one approach. Another approach is there is a shortcut formula. The formula is like this. In a race of L units, if A beats B by A units, B beats C by B units, then A beats C by A plus B minus AB by L units. This is the shortcut formula. You see here A beats, in a race of L units, the race is 100 meters, so L is 100. A beats B by A units. In the place of A, I can have 10. B beats C by 5 means I can have 5 here. So by A beats C by how many meters means I have to substitute this A, B, L here. A is 10, B is 5, minus 10 into 5 by L. What is L? 100. You can see 10 plus 5, 15, minus, this is 50, see 0, 0, 5 by 10 is 0.5, 15 minus 0.5, is it not 14.5? We got the same answer or not? So this is the shortcut formula. Done? Right? Let's take one more example. I hope for every question you are pausing the video, you are attempting it and then watching it, right? So even the next question, please pause the video, first make an attempt, then continue watching this, right? In a 100-meter race, A beats B by 10 meters or by 2 seconds. Find the speed of A. In a 100-meter race, A beats B by 10 meters means when A runs 100, B is 10 meters behind. Now A beats B by 2 seconds means what? As I said, A beats B by 2 seconds means A completes the race 2 seconds before B completed, or rather B completed the race 2 seconds after A completed. Now when A completed the race of 100, B was 10 meters behind A, at 90. Now in the next 2 seconds B completed means B has traveled this 10 meters distance in these 2 seconds. When A was at 100, B was at 90, next 2 seconds he is completing means in 2 seconds time he covered this 10 meters. So B covers a distance of 10 meters in 2 seconds time. I can find the speed of B now, 10 by 2, 5 meters per second. But the question is not about speed of B, question is about speed of A. Now I would like to ask you one thing. The entire race is 100 meters. For 10 meters distance, if B takes 2 seconds to travel 100 meters, which is exactly 10 times, how much time he will take? Because it is 100 meters 10 times, the time also will be 10 times. He will take 20 seconds. Who? B. If B is taking 20 seconds, A to cover this 100 meters, how much time he will take? As I said, A takes 2 seconds less than B. He completed 2 seconds before B means, since B is completing in 20 seconds, A has completed the race 2 seconds before means, rather he has taken 18 seconds. So A covers this 100 meters distance in 18 seconds time. Our speed of A equals to 100 by 18, that is 50 by 9 or 5 by 9 meters per second. So our answer is 5 by 9 meters per second. I'm afraid the common mistake that happens in this question is you write 100 by 20 and say 5, or 10 by 2, if not 100 by 20, you write 10 by 2 and say 10 by 2 is 5. See, distance is 10 meters, time is 2 seconds, speed is equal to 10 by 2, you say 5 meters per second, but that is the speed of B, not A. So this is what you make mistake in this question, right? Need to be alert. Done? This is about linear races. Now we'll consider in the next session how to find circular races, right? Let's see. Circular races. If 2 or more people are going on a circular track, when will they meet again at the starting point? When will they meet anywhere on the track? This depends on the direction in which they are traveling, whether they are traveling in the same direction, whether they are traveling in the opposite direction. Let's discuss this. We'll come back to this formula. Before that, if you consider the basic concept, it is like this. If there is a circular track, this length of this track is say L. If from the same point P, if 2 people are going in the same direction with S1 and S2 speeds, when will they meet again anywhere on the track? Second concept is, if 2 people are going from the same point on the length, a track of L length with S1 and S2 speeds in the opposite direction, when will they meet again anywhere on the track? Here, suppose if I bring this to what we have discussed in the relative speed concept earlier, this is a question of more of a relative speed concept. See, because 2 people are traveling. If you recall the relative speed concept we discussed in the earlier session, rather I suggest you watch the relative speed concept video once again and come back to this session. If there is a distance of d between them, if 2 people are going from opposite ends with S1 and S2 speeds, by the time they meet here, this guy would have traveled this guy traveled this, means the total distance traveled by both of them is d, the distance traveled is d. The speed is, since both are traveling in opposite direction S1 plus S2, the time required is distance by speed d by S1 plus S2, I said. Similarly here, you see this guy travels like this. Let us say this guy came up to here and they met here, means by the time they meet here, the total distance traveled by them is this entire track length or not, that is L. Speeds are S1 and S2. So because they are traveling in opposite direction, it is S1 plus S2. So the time is nothing but distance L by speed S1 plus S2. That's how this has come. Time taken to meet for the first time anywhere on the track if it is opposite direction is L by S1 plus S2. For this, students, I can give an example of again the relative speed concept. I said if two people are going, if there is an initial distance of this much d from them, if this guy starts at S1 speed, this guy is going here at S2, when will they meet means by the gap, initial gap between them is d, and since the speeds are S1 and S2 and they are going in the same direction, the time required will be distance by speed S1 minus S2 we discussed. Similarly here, they both start at the same point. So the faster guy has to catch up the slower guy means since they travel continuously like this, this faster person, because they started at the same point, same time, he has to complete one extra round to catch up the slower guy. Yes or no? Because they started at the same time, the faster guy will jip fast and then come and catch up the second guy by covering one extra round. That means like when they are traveling like this, if they met here, this guy is covering this extra distance. Here also the faster guy has to cover one round extra, means the distance is L, speed is S1 minus S2, L by S1 minus S2 we say. That is the logic behind it, right? Now, next question is when do they meet at the starting point? Suppose both start at the same time. Now, whether they meet when they go in the same direction or opposite direction doesn't matter. Why? One guy completes the round like this and comes here. Whether the other guy completes the round like this and comes here, or completes the round like this and comes here, direction is not important because ultimately he is completing the round, right? So now, for example, the first guy completes the round in 10 seconds. Second guy completes the round in 15 seconds. See, now what happens, suppose if they start at 8 o'clock, so at 8:00:10 he will come back again. That means after 10 seconds he will come back to the starting point. Again after 20 seconds he will come back. Again after 30 seconds he will come back. After 40 seconds he will come back. What about this guy? After 15 seconds he will come back. I said 15 seconds. After 30 seconds, 15 plus 15, 30 seconds he will come back. After another 15 seconds, 45 seconds he will come back. Means if you see the time they are taking is 10, 20, 30, 40. This is 15, 30, 45 and so on. When both are there simultaneously means after 30 seconds or not. This 13 is nothing but 10 and 15's least common multiple, that is LCM. That's why we write the shortcut formula, right? So you can now time taken to meet for the first time at the starting point, whether it is same direction or opposite direction, it is LCM of time. How do you find time? Time to complete one round means time is nothing but distance by speed. Time is distance by speed. Distance is length of the track. Speed of the first guy will be S1. What about the time taken by the second guy means time is length of the, distance is length of the track. Speed will be speed of the second guy. That's what I'm writing. I have to find the LCM of time. I said time is nothing but L by S1 and L by S2 respectively. This is for 2 people and this can be extended for 3 people also. For 3 people what we say is, if 3 people are moving in same direction with S1, S2 and S3 speeds, when all 3 will meet anywhere on the track means we'll try to find out when these 2 guys will meet, L by S1 minus S2. When these 2 guys will meet, L by S2 minus S3. Every certain interval they meet, every certain interval they meet. If these 2 things happen simultaneously, all 3 will meet or not. Suppose every 5 minutes S1 and S2 are meeting. A1 and first 2 guys are meeting. Every say 7 minutes the next 2 guys are meeting. When these 2 meetings happen simultaneously, all 3 people will be meeting simultaneously or not. When they will happen simultaneously means it is nothing but LCM question. Like I said, previous case, why are we finding LCM? Because every 10 seconds happening means multiples of 10, multiples of 15. When they will happen simultaneously means a common multiple. Similarly here also, this interval they meet, every L by S2 minus S3 interval the 2 guys will meet. If both these things happen simultaneously, all 3 will meet means it is LCM of S1, as I said, LCM of L by S1 minus S2, L by S2 minus S3. For opposite direction, suppose all three cannot go in opposite direction. Suppose S1 and S2 are going in the same direction, S3 is going in opposite direction. Then what I can say? L by S1 minus S2. Since S2 and S3 are going in opposite direction, I'll say L by S2 plus S3. Right? You can extend this logic for any number of people. As I said, for 3 people, it is the same. Whether it's 2 people or 3 people, when will they meet again at the starting point? Means I have to find the time taken to complete one round. Time taken complete one round by first guy will be distance L by S1. Time taken to complete one round for the second guy will be L by S2. Time taken to complete one round by the third guy will be distance L by speed S3. I have to find the time ratio of, LCM of all these 3. These are the basic concepts. So now I suggest you just by heart these things, and linear race questions usually will be not very tough questions. If you can just apply the formulae here and the formulae here, you will get. So whatever extra explanation I gave you will help you if the question is very difficult. Otherwise, just by substituting the formula, you can answer the question. We'll discuss a couple of questions here. A and B start running from a point on a circular track of 1400 meters. Circular track of 1400 meters with respective speeds of 9 meters and 5 meters per second. That is, S1 is 9 meters per second, S2 is 5 meters per second. Find the time required to meet for the first time anywhere on the track if they travel in the opposite direction. If they travel in the opposite direction, as we discussed, time is equal to L by S1 plus S2. L is 1400. S1 plus S2 is 9 plus 5, 14. 1400 by 14 will be 100 seconds. If they travel in the same direction, means time equals to, because he said anywhere on the track, L by S1 minus S2, it is 100 by 9 minus, 1400 by that, it is 1400. 1400 by 9 minus 5, 1400 by 4, which is 350 seconds. Right? Let's take up one more question. For 3 people, A, B and C start running from same point on a circular track of 1200 meters with speeds of 8 meters per second, 6 meters per second and 3 meters per second. If they move in the same direction, find the time required to meet for the first time anywhere on the track. To meet for the first time anywhere on the track, it is L by LCM of L by S1 minus S2, L by S2 minus S3. It is LCM of, come on, L is how much? 1200 by S1 minus S2, 8 minus 6. What is 8 minus 6? 2. L by 1200 by S2 minus S3. S2 minus S3, 6 minus 3 is how much? 3. You can say 2 600s, 3 400s. We have to find LCM of 600 and 400. You know how to find LCM. For 600 and 400, LCM is 1200. So 1200 seconds is our answer. See, let's not read too much into this 1200 and this 1200. The time is 1200 seconds. It is LCM of 600 and 400 is 1200 seconds. To meet at the starting point, what is the time required? LCM of L by S1, L by S2, L by S3 and so on. Now, LCM of L is 1200 by 8, 1200 by 6, 1200 by 3. It is LCM of 150, 200 and 400. 150, 200, 400, if you find LCM, it will be 1200. So 1200 seconds. So both cases I am getting same answer, means the first time itself they are meeting is not anywhere on the track. That anywhere on the track happens to be starting point, not some other point. First time they meet again at the starting point only, right? So that's why you are getting the same answer both cases. When I say anywhere on the track, you are getting 1200 seconds. Starting point also is getting 1200 seconds, means the first time they are meeting somewhere is at the starting point only, right? Okay, this is about linear races. We will discuss the concept of clocks. This depends on the concept of circular tracks we have discussed in the earlier part. If you look at a clock, let's say 12, 3, 6 and 9. Now at 12 o'clock, the two hands of the clock will be lying, that is hours hand and minutes hand, they will be on line 12. They are meeting, they are coinciding, or the angle between them will be 0 degrees. They are both on the same line means the angle is 0 degrees. Now when will they meet again? By 1 o'clock will they meet? No, at 1 o'clock, hours hand will be on 1, minutes hand will be on line 12. When it will be? At exactly 1:05, not exactly at 1:05, somewhere a few seconds after 1:05, at 1:05 what happens? Hours hand will be passing this 1 and coming a little closer here like this. Minutes hand will be on 1, right? But at 1:05, few seconds, they will be meeting again. So that's why we say the two hands of the clock will not meet every 1 hour, right? You can check it clock there. 12 o'clock they are meeting. Next time they will be meeting around 1:05 few seconds. You can check next time they will be meeting at 2:10 past few seconds. And next, not exactly at 3:15 few seconds there. So that's why the two hands of the clock meet in fact a few seconds more than 1 hour 5 minutes, or 1 hour means 60 minutes. So 1 hour 5 minutes means 65 minutes, not exactly 65 minutes. 65 minutes and few seconds, we can say 65 5 by 11 minutes I can say. Or if I convert into hours, 12 by 11 hours. The two hands of the clock coincide, they meet every 65 5 by 11 minutes, right? So they are not meeting every 1 hour there, right? Because to meet one time they are taking 12 by 11 hours or 65 5 by 11 minutes. In 12 hours time they will not meet 12 times, they will meet 11 times. If you want, you can check. To meet one time, if they take 12 by 11 hours, to meet 11 times means 12 by 11 into 11, it is 12 hours time. So 12 hours time they will meet 11 times there. But to meet once they require 1 hour 5 minutes, 5 by 11 minutes means that is 65 5 by 11 minutes, right? Now, between one meeting to other meeting, what happens? When they are meeting means the angle between them is 0 degrees. Before they meet again, what happens is at one point in time, hours hand will be somewhere here, minutes hand will be somewhere here. They will be straight opposite to each other. That means from straight opposite to each other means what is the angle between them? It's a straight line means 180 degrees. So from 0 degrees to 180 degrees, the angle is increasing over a period of time. Again, what happens? The minutes hand will be moving fast, whereas hours hand is moving slow. So minutes hand will come closer to hours hand, and finally at as we discussed at 1:05 5 by 11, they will be meeting again. So that means from 180 degrees, their meeting means the angle is becoming 0 means from 180 degrees, the angle is coming down to 0 degrees again. So because of this, what I can say is, because they meet 11 times in 12 hour duration, they will be right opposite to each other also will be 11 times. But any other angle, right opposite to each other means 180 degrees 11 times. Any other angle between 0 and 180 will happen once when it is increasing, second time when it is decreasing and coming to 1. So once here and second time here means any other angle between 0 and 180 will happen 22 times in 12 hour duration. Hence these are the statements we can say. In 12 hours time, the two hands of the clock coincide. Coincide means meeting 11 times, and they are right opposite to each other, or the angle is 180 degrees also 11 times. But any other angle between 0 and 180 will happen 22 times. Please remember, whenever we refer to the angle between the hands of the clock, it should be between 0 and 180. Rather, it should be non-reflex angle. So the angle between the two hands of the clock is always a non-reflex angle. Reflex angle means more than 180. Why I am saying this point is, suppose if I take, say one hand is here, another hand is here. I will say the angle is say 90 degrees. Somebody will say, no sir, it is 270 degrees. There will always be confusion whether you should consider this portion or this portion. You should always consider non-reflex angle. The angle should be not more than 180 degrees. 180 degrees is acceptable. More than 180 is called reflex angle. It should be non-reflex angle. So it should be anywhere from 0 to 180 only. So this is the basic concept of clocks, how they move. Now, continuing with this, how many degrees each hand is moving per minute we'll try to calculate. So as we discussed just now, hour's hand is moving slow, minute's hand is moving fast. If you consider hour's hand, from 12 to come back to 12 is 12, 3, 6, 9, it will take 12 hours time. It will take 12 hours time to complete one round, means hour's hand in 12 hours time will completing one round means it moves 360 degrees. In 12 hours time, or in 1 hour time, 360 by 12, 30 degrees it moves, or in 1 minute it moves half degree. Hour's hand for every minute moves half degree, whereas minute's hand, if you consider, minute's hand is suppose at 12 o'clock it is on line 12. When it will come back to again 12, it will take 1 hour to come back here. Say at 12 o'clock it is on line 12. At 1 o'clock, suppose if you take 1 o'clock, hour's hand will be on 1, but minute's hand will be on 12. So from 12 to 1, that is in 1 hour's time, it completed one round. So that's why minute's hand in 1 hour time will complete one round, means 360 degrees it will move, it will make at the center. Or every minute, 1 hour means 60 minutes time, 360 degrees means in 1 minute time 360 by 66 degrees. In 1 hour time, in 60 minutes time it moves 30 degrees. In 1 minute time 30 by 60 it moves half degree. So when we try to consider the angle between the hands of the clock, this is what we need to keep it in mind. Hour's hand every minute moves half degree, every hour moves 30 degrees. Minute's hand every hour moves 360 degrees, every minute it moves 6 degrees, right? So now, how do we consider the angle between the hands of the clock? Let's take an example. Find the angle between the two hands of the clock at 3:40. Let's see. Doesn't matter AM or PM in a 12-hour clock, the hands will show the same. Suppose if I take this here, at 3:40 means this is 12, 3, say 6, 9. 3:40, at 3:40 means hour's hand will be somewhere between 3 and 4, somewhere here. Minute's hand will be at 3:40 minutes, it will be on 8, somewhere here. This is where minute's hand will be. So what is the angle between the hour's hand and minute's hand at 3:40 means this angle I want to know. How we are going to consider is, we will consider their position with respect to this fixed line 12. We'll try to see what is the position of hour's hand, what is the position of our hand with respect to 12. Suppose if I give an example, the distance between A and B is 10 kilometers. The distance ABC, the distance between A and C is, suppose if I say 25 kilometers. So what is the distance between B and C? 25 minus 10, can you not say 15? So you are trying to position B with respect to A 10, you are trying to position C also with respect to A and say 25 means, what is the distance between B and C means you say 25 minus 10, 15. Similarly, the same logic I'll apply. I try to say what is the position of hour's hand with respect to 12, I calculate. Then I try to calculate what is the position of this minute's hand with respect to 12 if I calculate. I know this means the difference will be this portion. Yes or no? That's what we are trying to do. Now let's consider hour's hand. We discussed just now, hour's hand every hour moves 30 degrees. From 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, in 3 hours time, in 3:40 I need, in 3 hours time how many degrees it would have moved? Every hour 30 degrees. From 12, in 3 hours time 3:30 is 90 degrees it would have moved. But 3:40, in the next 40 minutes how many degrees it moved? Every minute it moves half degree. 40 minutes time 40 into half, another 20 degrees it would have moved. So it is 110 degrees away from the hour's hand is 120 degrees it moved away from this 12. We are trying to say with respect to line 12. It moved 110 degrees away. What about minute's hand? At exactly 3 o'clock, it will be on line 12. At exactly 2 or 3 or 4, whenever at the stroke of an hour, minute's hand will be on line 12. In the next 40 minutes time, every minute it moves 6 degrees. In the next 40 minutes time, it has moved from here to here. Every minute 6 degrees, 40 minutes time 40 into 6, 240 degrees it moved. Say this is 240 degrees. This is 240, this is 110, means what is the angle between the two hands, means what is the angle between them? 130 degrees. So you have to ensure that this is less than 180. If it is more than 180, say 360 minus that, will get, suppose if you get this as 200 for example, if this difference was 200, your answer cannot be 200, then what I should do? 360 minus 200, I would have said 160. But that is not a problem in this case. I get 130, which is 180 or less than 180 is acceptable. I said it is 130, we can take that. Let's take one more example. At what time between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock the angle is 30 degrees? Let's take the diagram again. If I take, this is 12, 3, 6, 9, between 2 and 3 o'clock means, this is 2 and 3 o'clock means our sand will be somewhere in between them. Between 2 and 3 o'clock means a few minutes after 2 o'clock but before 3 o'clock. So let us say, for some time let us assume x minutes somewhere here means our sand will be somewhere here means a few minutes after 2 o'clock, and that few minutes I am assuming x minutes after 2 o'clock, let the angle be 30 degrees. Now let us try and write what is the R sand position. Again, if I write every R it moves 30 degrees, I am asking about 2 and something. 2 o'clock means it would have moved how many degrees? From with respect to 12, every R 30 degrees. 2 o'clock means 230, 60 degrees. Plus in the next x minutes, every minute half degree, it might have come up to here. Next x minutes, how many degrees it moved? Every minute half degree means x minutes, x by 2 degrees. So it has moved 60 plus x by 2. What about minutes hand? At exactly 2 o'clock it will be on line 12. So the next x minutes it will move 6x degrees. So now this is 6x. The difference between them should be 30 degrees. When I say difference between them, is this more or second one is more is the question. There are two possibilities. R sand might have been here, minute sand might have come up to here. This is the 60, this is 6x, this is the R sand angle, means R sand moved more than minute sand means 60 plus x by 2 minus 6x is going to be 30 degrees. This is going to be 30 degrees, that is R sand angle minus minute sand angle with respect to 12 is 30 degrees is one possibility. But you know, R sand will be moving slow. After some time minute sand will overtake and come somewhere here. So now this may be 6x, this may be 6x, this may be 60 plus x by 2. This difference can be 30 degrees. Possible or not? Possible, because after some time minute sand will overtake R sand. So that is the reason second case will be 6x minus 60 plus x by 2 equals to 30 degrees. Let's try and simplify this. X by 2 minus 11x, 6x will be minus 11x by 2 equals to minus 30, minus minus gets cancelled. X is 60 by 11 or 5 by 11. Here if I simplify this, 6x minus x by 2, 11x by 2, 2, 6, 12x minus x, 11x by 2 equals to minus 60 goes other side plus 60, 90, x equals to 180 by 11, 11 16 is 176, 16, 4 by 11 minutes. That's what I said. See, now 5 by 11, x value is 5 by 11 minutes means 5 by 11 minutes after 2 o'clock means my answer will be 5 by 11 minutes is one time. That's what I'm saying. R sand will be here, minute sand will be somewhere here. That's one time. Second time, 260, x value is 16, 4 by 11 means 16, 4 by 11 minutes means, as I said, R sand may be here, minute sand will be crossing here, 216 it will be happening. So there are two possible answers. Then somebody will have a doubt, will there be always two possible answers? Means not necessary. If every time every angle happens in every hour 2 times, then 12 to 24 times it should happen. But we discussed it will happen 22 times only. Sometimes it will happen only once. But let's not try and go so deep into the concept and try to learn. It's not required for, as I said, for competitive exams. So what I can say is, when you write like this, if both are positive values, both are possible. If 1 is negative value, what do you mean by negative value? We are talking about x minutes after something, but that x is negative means it's not after, it is before. That means it is not happening 2 times, it's happening 1 time, we can say. These are the few important points on clocks, right? So now let's consider the next concept in the speed, time and distance, which is about boats and streams and escalators. Boats and streams and escalators. Here they got same concept. That's why we are saying boats and streams and escalators. Now let's see what is the concept of boats. Suppose if a boat is going in a still water, in a lake, the boat will be traveling at its own speed. But if the boat is going in a river where the water is flowing like this, boat is also flowing. Water is going like this, boat is also going. So we say the boat is traveling downstream. Then what happens? The boat is going, the river also will be pushing it down. So the speed will be speed of the boat plus speed of the water, right? Or the river is coming like this. Sometimes the boat will be going against the water or the stream. So we say the boat is going upstream or against stream. These are the 3 cases. In a still water, boat will go at its own speed. But when a boat is going along the stream in a river, its speed will increase because stream will be pushing it down. When a boat goes against the stream, it will slow down because the water will be pushing the boat. The boat has to counter that and proceed further. So if the speed of the boat in still water is b, speed of the water is w, downstream means what happens? It is b plus w, because stream is pushing it down, boat is also coming down, so the speed will increase. When it is going upstream, as I said, the boat will be going up, stream will be pushing it down, so it has to counter that energy and go further. Automatically it will slow down, right? So b minus w. I think the same concept we can say with wind and a man cycling or going. Suppose if you look at speed of a man is m, speed of the wind is w. If a man is cycling against the wind, what happens? If there is no wind, the man will be going at his own speed. If the wind is blowing against him, his speed will come down. Suppose if the wind is behind his back and pushing him, automatically the speed will increase. Is it not the same logic? So we can say that speed of the wind, speed of the man is m and speed of the wind is w. The effective speed with the wind will be m plus w. Against the wind will be what? M minus w, right? And same is the case with escalators also. In a mall, if escalator is going up, you are also trying to go up. So instead of standing on the escalator, you are also climbing few steps. So what happens? You will reach the top floor quicker time. If the speed of the man is m, speed of the escalator is e, both are going in the same direction. Escalator is taking you up, the man is also going up, so the both are moving in the same direction, means speed will be speed of the man plus escalator. Or escalator is coming down, the man is, instead of standing on that, he is also climbing down some steps, so he will reach fast. Instead of standing, he is also climbing down few steps, means both are working together. Again the speed will be speed of the man plus escalator. But now the third case will be escalator is going up. If the man is trying to climb down the steps on the escalator, what happens? Escalator will be pushing the man behind. So the man can come down further only if his speed is more than escalator speed, right? If escalator climbs 2 steps, if man can climb down 3 steps, what happens? It will push him 2 steps down in 1 second, but he can jump 3 steps, means effectively he is climbing down only 1 step. Yes or no? That's why we say speed will be speed of the man minus escalator. If speed of the man is more, only he will come down, otherwise the escalator will be throwing him behind there. Same is the logic when escalator is coming down and man tries to go up against the escalator. If man's speed is not up to the escalator speed, he will be thrown down. But he has to go further, means if his speed is more than escalator can go, effective speed will be speed of the man minus escalator. Let me tabulate this and show you. This what? Escalator is moving up, man is also climbing up. So they are working together, so m plus e. Escalator is moving up, man is climbing down, they are working against each other. So the man can come down further only if his speed is more than escalator, and the effective speed is m minus c. And escalator moving down, but man is climbing up, again it is m. They are working against each other, you can see here, m minus c. But here escalator is moving down, man is also moving down, they are working together, so effective speed will be more, right? So I hope you can take the screenshot and then we will take up a couple of questions on this, right? Let's see. A boat takes 8 hours to travel 96 kilometers upstream. If it takes 2 hours less to return to the starting point, find the speed of the boat in still water. The distance is 96 kilometers. It takes 8 hours time. In which direction? Upstream. But what about downstream? To return, see, when it has gone upstream means when it is returning, it is traveling downstream. Downstream, it is taking 2 hours less time means it is only taking 6 hours. Same distance, 96 kilometers. What is the speed here? Distance by time, 96 by 8, 12 kilometers per hour. What is the speed here? 96 by 6, 16 kilometers per hour. But please remember, this is upstream speed means the speed is effective speed will be speed of the boat minus speed of the water, that is 12 kilometers per hour. Here when the boat is traveling downstream, this effective speed is speed of the boat plus water, that is 16 kilometers per hour. You want speed of the boat in still water means you need actual speed of the boat, that is B. You know B minus W, you know B plus W. If you substitute here, when you add the two equations, 2B is 28 kilometers per hour or B equals to 14 kilometers per hour. B means speed of the boat in still water, that is 14 kilometers per hour. Right? Let's take up one more example. A takes 40 seconds to climb up an escalator which is moving up. He is climbing up, escalator is also moving up. Escalator man is climbing up, let us say escalator is also moving up. The time taken is 40 seconds. He takes 60 seconds to climb up the escalator, when the escalator is moving down. He is moving up but escalator is coming down, then he is taking 60 seconds. How long does it take to climb up the escalator? How long he will take? If the escalator is, if it is switched off, escalator is not moving. Escalator is not moving at all. So now how long it will take? So let us say t seconds. We have to find the t. But we know when escalator is moving up and man is also climbing up, the speed here will be speed of the man plus escalator. Whereas the speed here is man is moving up, escalator is coming down means the effective speed will be m minus e. Here only the man is climbing up, escalator is not moving means the speed will be only the speed of the man at which he is climbing the steps. Now speed into time will give me a distance, speed into time will give me a distance, here also distance, but in all cases it is the same. So that means if I equate the distance in all cases is same means let me equate these two. Speed into time m plus e, if you remember where we started, when the distance is constant s1 into t1 equals to s2 into t2. Right? Speed into time is distance, speed into time distance. We are writing it. M plus E into 40 equals to M minus E into 60. Right? If I simplify 22's, 23's, 2M plus 2E equals to 3M minus 3E. Or if I bring M this side, 1M equals to 3E goes other side plus 5E. Once M equals to 5E, we can substitute there. We will do that. Now, distance is same means even these two are equal. That means I can say M minus E into 60 equals to M into time. We have to find out T. But what is that I can put in the place of M? 5E. Let me write it here. 5E minus E into 60 equals to 5E into T. 5E minus E, 4E into 60 equals to 5E into T. E gets cancelled, 5 12s, 12 4s, 48. So T equals to 48. So the answer is 48 seconds. That's what we have to find. T seconds, we assume T is 48 means our answer is 48 seconds. Right? So these are a few examples on boats and streams and escalators. Next, we will take up the concept of time zones. We'll discuss the concept of time zones when a flight travels from one city to other city which are in two different time zones, what is the actual travel time? How do you arrive at it? If it goes from west to east, what happens? If it comes from east to west, what happens? We'll discuss that. First, let's consider if a flight goes from west to east. When an aircraft travels from a city in the west to a city in the east, actual travel time is T minus D. What is this T? Arrival time minus departure time. What is D? Difference in the time between the two time zones. Let me explain this with an example. If an aircraft leaves city A at 6 a.m. and reaches city B, which is east of city A, which is east of city A at 10 a.m. of its local time, the actual travel time is what? T will be arrival time minus departure time means 10 minus 6, 4. But is the actual travel time 4 hours? No, 4 minus the difference in the time zone. This 10 minus 6 is 4, 4 minus the difference in the time zone. We need to know the difference between the two time zones. Suppose if the difference in the time zones is say 1 hour. If the difference in the time zones is 1 hour, then actual travel time will be 4 minus 1, 3 hours. Why I tell you? See, the sun rises in the east first, you know. So A is in the west means, so A will be behind B there. Suppose if it is 10 a.m. in city B, because the difference in the time zone is 1 hour means city A is 1 hour behind city B means when the flight landed in B, at that point in time, the time in city A would have been 9 a.m. Suppose if a person lands in B, immediately calls up his father and says, see, I landed. So what will be the time in his father's watch? It may be 10 o'clock in city B, but at that point in time in city A, because it is west, it is behind. Sun comes late to western part, so it will be 9 a.m. So it is actual journey time will be 3 hours, right? So that's why we say when you're actually traveling to east, the actual travel time will be the arrival time minus departure time 10 minus 6, 4 minus the difference in the time zone, minus difference in the time zone. Now when you're traveling from east to west, it is opposite. When an aircraft travels from city in the east to city in the west, what happens? Actual travel time will be, as I said, T minus, T is the arrival time minus departure time plus D. There it was minus, now it is plus difference in the time zones. An aircraft leaves city A at 6 a.m. and reaches city B, which is the west of city A. West means it is behind. West of city B at 10 a.m. means the actual travel time will be, is it only 4 hours? No, it is 4 hours plus the difference in the time zone. If the difference in the time zone is 1 hour, the actual travel time will be 4 plus 1, 5 hours. Why? Again I tell you, when it is city B is behind city A, if the time zone difference is 1 hour, city B is 1 hour behind A means when the time is 10 o'clock in B, at that point in time, the time in A will be 11 o'clock. That means the flight, someone again, as I said, someone landed in B at 10 o'clock in its local time and called up the person in A, in A's time, local time, it was 11 o'clock. So the journey time was 5 hours, not 4 hours, right? So that is something you have to keep it. When you are traveling towards west, arrival time minus departure time plus the difference in the time zone. If you are traveling to east, it is minus a difference in the time zone. Let's try a question based on this concept. An aircraft leaves city A at 6 a.m. local time and travels towards east at a speed of 600 km per hour. It reaches city B at 4:30 p.m. local time. If the difference in the time between the two time zones is 1.5 hours, find the distance between the two cities. See, it leaves city A at 6 a.m. and it travels towards east. East means I'll write towards this at a speed of 600 kilometers. I'll come back. When it reaches city B, 4:30 p.m. its local time. So now it is traveling towards east means the actual travel time will be the difference in the travel time minus the difference in the time zones. Now 6 to 4:30 means 4:30 is nothing but if I take 24-hour clock, it will be 16:30. 16:30 minus 6 o'clock will be 10.5 hours. right? 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. is 10 and a half hours, right? But now 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. will be 12 hours, 4:30 p.m. means 10 and a half hours, minus the difference in the time zone, that is 1.5 hour. So that means actual travel time will be 9 hours. I repeat again, when it is traveling at 4:30 here, when it landed at 4:30, in city B's time it is 4:30. What about in city A's time? City A is behind B by 1.5 hour, means it would have been only 3 p.m. If someone called up the moment landed to city A, it was 3 p.m. means 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. What is the actual journey time? 3 p.m. is 15 hours. 12 plus 3, 15 hours means it's 9 hours. That's what I'm writing, right? So actual journey time is 9 hours. Speed is 600 kilometers per hour, means 600 kilometers per hour. So the distance is speed into time. Speed is 600, time is 9 hours. So the distance is 5,400 kilometers. Find the distance between the two cities, means my answer is 5,400 kilometers. So this is how we can consider questions on time zones. In fact, in that playlist that I was referring to some time back in one of the earlier sessions also, we have a couple of questions on time zones in the playlist called previous CAT questions. You can refer to that, those time zone questions, how these questions can be complicated on time zones there, right? So this is your speed, time and distance. Please go through all the videos in detail and then practice the questions from the playlist of those previous CAT questions, right? And if you need a more comprehensive course on speed, time and distance, please reach me on my Udemy profile. The link is given below, right? Thank you.